You know that absolute rush when you unbox a brand new drone? It's incredible. But man, if you've ever tried to take it for a spin right outside your front door, you also know that flying in a residential neighborhood is, well, it's uniquely stressful. You're just trying to capture some amazing footage of your house, but your brain is going a mile a minute, worrying about trees, local laws, and, what the folks next door are going to think. So, in this explainer, we're going to completely tackle that stress by unpacking what we call the good neighbor framework. Okay, just picture this for a second. You are 50 feet up in the air, you're getting a perfect shot of your roof, and suddenly, bam! Your video feed completely pixelates and drops out. And out of the corner of your eye, you see a neighbor literally storming across their lawn, pointing right at you. So what do? Well, that exact scenario perfectly captures the immediate tension of flying in a neighborhood. It's this wild intersection where strict federal regulations, totally invisible technical hazards, and highly unpredictable human emotions just crash right into each other. But don't worry, we're going to systematically dismantle all that complexity right now. Our agenda for the Good Neighbor Framework covers 1. Navigating neighborhood drone laws, 2. Dodging invisible neighborhood hazards, 3. Respecting residential privacy ethics, and 4. Handling neighbor complaints gracefully. Let's dive right in. So, starting off with part 1, navigating neighborhood drone laws. Now, this first concept is a massive point of confusion, and honestly, even veteran pilots get this wrong all the time. Who exactly controls what? Well, it breaks down like this. The FAA completely owns the sky. They handle the airspace and your certifications, but, and this is a huge but, your local city and state entirely control the ground. They are the ones who dictate exactly where you can take off, where you can land, and they enforce local noise and privacy ordinances. So, to fly legally, you really have to satisfy both jurisdictions. And look, as experienced pilots, we already know the absolute federal baseline before we even think about turning the props on, right? You've got to pass the free trust test, register any drone weighing over 250 grams, absolutely stay under 400 feet in Class G airspace, always maintain visual line of sight, and make sure you're broadcasting remote ID. These are the non-negotiables, guys. All right, moving on to part 2, dodging invisible neighborhood hazards.
I want you to think about this for a second. What is the absolute biggest threat to your drone when you're flying in a subdivision? You're probably instantly thinking of, I don't know, massive oak trees or tall fences or maybe brick chimneys. But actually, the real dangers aren't the things you can plainly see. The real dangers are completely invisible.
That's right, neighborhoods are absolutely flooded with electromagnetic interference, or EMI. Think about it, you've got overlapping Wi-Fi routers from a dozen houses, Bluetooth devices everywhere, and massive power lines, all creating this thick blanket of electronic noise. And if this EMI corrupts your drone's GPS, your drone can suddenly drift 3 to 6 feet completely on its own with zero input from you. And when you're wedged between two houses, a 6-foot drift is a guaranteed crash. So, I want you to burn this number into your brain, 200. This is the magic number. It represents the critical safety radius, in feet, that you absolutely must maintain from power lines, substations, and major electrical equipment. And you might be wondering, why so far? Well, human depth perception completely breaks down at a distance, and modern drone obstacle avoidance sensors, they notoriously fail to detect thin wires. Seriously, never ever trust your sensors to catch a power line. Okay, so what actually happens when that EMI hits hard and your GPS goes totally rogue? The drone might literally start fighting you. It'll act erratic because it thinks it's somewhere it's not. When that happens, you absolutely must know how to switch your drone into ATTI or attitude mode. Doing this disables the GPS position hold and forces the drone into manual control. Basically, it stops the autopilot from fighting you with bad data, letting you manually stabilize the rig and bring it down for a safe landing. Let's transition to part 3, respecting residential privacy ethics. To us pilots, a backyard is really just airspace, right? But legally, and more importantly, ethically, people have a reasonable expectation of privacy in their homes and private spaces, even if those areas are visible from above. Framing your neighbors as actual human beings deserving of respect rather than just, annoying obstacles you have to avoid is absolutely the core of this whole framework. So what does this look like in practice? It means keeping a solid 50-foot horizontal buffer away from property lines and definitely avoiding hovering directly over things like backyards or swimming pools. But honestly, your best tools here are entirely social. Go knock on a door, introduce yourself before you fly. And here's a wild pro tip for you. Throwing on a cheap, high-visibility reflective vest works absolute wonders. It instantly signals to everyone around that you are a professional operator, not just some creep snooping on them. Now, even with the absolute best intentions, accidents do happen. And please, do not assume your standard homeowner's insurance covers drone accidents, because it almost never does. The good news? You can grab on-demand drone insurance straight from an app for like $5 to $10 an hour. I mean, that is literally nothing compared to a massive six-figure liability claim if your drone accidentally shatters a custom window or, worse, injures somebody. Just protect yourself. It's a total no-brainer.
And that brings us to our final pillar, Part 4, handling neighbor complaints gracefully. So, when tensions inevitably run high and someone confronts you, use this exact de-escalation playbook. First, just listen calmly. Let them vent and absolutely do not start quoting FAA regulations at them. It just makes them madder. Second, communicate your intent respectfully. Tell them exactly what you are filming. Third, adapt your flight path and offer a compromise. And here's the best trick in the book, simply turning your controller around to show them the live camera feed. Seeing that screen instantly demystifies the drone and diffuses the tension pretty much on the spot. As we pull this all together, it really comes down to a fundamental shift in your mindset. The amateur pilot operates on, I think. I think the battery's fine. I think the wind is okay. I think my neighbors won't care. But the professional, responsible pilot, they operate on I know. I know my firmware is fully updated. I know I have airspace clearance. I know I've spoken to the neighbors. Remember this. The phrase, "it'll probably be fine," is the absolute worst enemy of a safe drone pilot. Ultimately, every single time you take off from your driveway, you are representing the entire drone community. By strictly using this good neighbor framework, you're doing your part to ensure the skies remain open and friendly for all of us. But as you master making neighborhood safety exceptionally boring and routine, it really begs the question, are you ready to take these exact same skills and start navigating the intense complexities of controlled commercial airspace next? Keep flying smart, stay safe out there, and hey, thanks so much for joining me on this explainer.